Morning, guys. Happy New Year. I'm sitting out here in the beautiful desert and enjoying myself because I know I'm not going anywhere. I got no responsibilities. It's a day off. And for me, that's really not true, totally true. I'll get into my dogs and be doing what I've already done this morning. Get all the dogs out, walked around property with Buddy and Rocks and let them have their exercise, walked them around property. All the dogs got potty broked and walked around property. Dogs have been getting fed and scooped and all the stuff that you need to do with my normal routine in life. And I'll stay here today and then start working dogs. But the reason I got online, what I wanted to talk about was the reaction that I've got privately from quite a few people yesterday after me starting to talk about the e-collar and Buddy, and he yelped, and here we go. So here come the people. Here they come. All right, so I've gotten a lot of the normal, purely positive, negative thing coming at me privately, and then luckily, in a good thing, they're not dragging me through the mud out in public, but they've got their opinions. So a lot of times we don't want to let that stuff be seen on film because people don't have a clue. And they're not like me, or my dog people understand it, but the general public and the purely positive crowd just go, wah! It's like, so I wanted to address that subject with e-collar, right? And my opinion and my points of view in regards to that, right? E-collar is a tool like any tool. And in the wrong hands, any tool can be used improperly. Even overfeeding a dog is improper. And a lot of people overfeed their dogs, a big old waddly mess, or they let their dogs be stuck on the couch and never go anywhere in life because they don't put the energy into training the dog. Dog doesn't have a life. So I've got a lot of personal opinions and points of view in that respect. So to all you people that came at me, and there was probably 3 to 5 of you that came in, anti, right? So I wanted to say something about my opinions of the e-collar. E-collar is a tool, and in the wrong hands, it can be used used improperly. Education is the key with 90% of everything in life, right? If you're uneducated and you go into something, you don't do it right, you're going to make that look bad, right? So a lot of people, and this is the problem with the industry overall, as far as e-collar industry, there's folks that are out there producing the product and selling the product and having it online. You go into a Tractor Supply or any type of pet store nowadays, and they have these knockoff friggin' e-collars that have no quality at all, that are garbage, and they're pet quality product. And these people that walk in with ignorance, they walk in and they buy the product and they have no clue how to use it or what it means. They've got total misconceptions in their head, and our nature, as far as human nature, and what drives us psychology, what our human psychology is totally different than the dogs. Whether you realize it or not, most people have a tendency in their perceptions and how they perceive things. What's their perspective and how do they view things? So when they get a tool like that, they want to punish a behavior away because that's our nature, right? When we say no, we spank the child in the ass. We have an attitude of what no means, right? That's why when you hear me talking about no, good, and yes, no is not that used that way in a general sense, is not used in a punishment forced fashion. No to me just says, nope, you didn't do it right, I want you to do it again. And that's why you have no, good, and yes. That's all it is. It's a negative marker, yes, but it's used in such a way that no means you didn't do it right, I want you to do it again. Do we use no and then we have a punishment? Sure, but it's on the outside spectrum of everything, right? We don't live our life in the world of punishing away behavior, okay? We may use it if it's applicable and it needs to be used in that fashion, but there's a world of knowledge behind who I am as a professional dog trainer to knowing what's right or wrong. That's why I mentioned it yesterday. That's why I didn't edit that out and not let you see that, right? The reason I didn't do that is because I wanted you to see that we're human. But here's the thing. Here's my perspective. I don't use the e-collar for anything more than a finishing tool 90% of the time. And I layer it in after the dog has a full lexicon of communication. No, good, and yes, and all kinds of training has been put into that dog before I bring in the e-collar. I'll give you an example of that. Marco, he's never had an e-collar. He's about 1.5 years old now, and I'm getting him to a point where we're going to be using some knee popo, and we'll teach him how to accept pressure. We'll do all kinds of things. And soon, within probably the next 3 or 4 months, we'll start bringing in the e-collar. And I will layer in the e-collar as an extension of a communication that gives me more ability to be able to reach out and touch him without having a 6-foot leash on the dog or a 20-foot long line. That I want to let the dog have more freedom and use that higher echelon abilities within my skill levels to be able to communicate using a communication tool that lets me reach out and touch him, and that's what it is. It's a communication tool, right? We use it 99% of the time. It's used in a general sense as a training tool. It's used in such a way that it's low stimulation, and we teach the dog to turn off this low stimulation. And then we have different variances of how we can dial it up, but we don't live in that punishment mentality, right? So here's my point of view that I'm trying to get across to you, right? Is that I will never want to have somebody have that e-collar, that very powerful tool, without understanding dog psychology and how dogs are conditioned. So I will require a customer to work with me a lot longer before I ever phase in an e-collar and let them have that e-collar to use as a tool in their world, right? Because they don't have the education for it, and they're going to use it improperly. Okay, that's my point. So if I had my druthers, I would want my customers to learn and grow to a level that gets them the ability to understand that and then be taught how we layer it in, what they're doing with the collar, etc., with a person that has a lot more knowledge behind them, because they've done all the other work in their growth in establishing their knowledge, so that they understand how a dog is conditioned, what we're doing with a dog, general dog psychology. All that stuff has to be understood by the person that is using the tool, or I won't let you use it with me. You can go ahead and buy it off the shelf, but you're being abusive and you're being an idiot because you don't have a clue with what you're doing, and you don't have the right perspective in using a tool like the e-collar. Is it a good tool or is it a bad tool? It's only bad because of the people that pick it up and don't have a friggin' clue, okay? If you're only using it to stop the dog getting in the trash and you only want to use it as a punishment tool, and what I look at this e-collar as a three-dimensional tool, okay? It's a tool that can be used, a very powerful tool, but it's a three-dimensional tool. I don't want to use it only in one spectrum, in the world of only using it as punishment. Okay, because in that respect, you're being abusive and it's wrong, okay? Buddy, even though he yelped yesterday, understands what that is, and he has a total understanding of it. I made a mistake, the dog yelped, okay, right away turn the thing down and try to avoid making mistakes, right? I'm human. But in the same respect, that dog has a full indoctrination. He has a full lexicon and understands that e-collar. He understands it. Okay, that being the case, it's fair to the animal because he understands it. That one tap that I did yesterday that made the dog, did you see the dog's attitude change? He knows right away where it's coming from. He knows what it means. He says, oh, I screwed up. I need to start working. And that's what he did, okay? Does it mean that I'm going to reach for punishment? No, I made a mistake. Punishment is used when I need it in certain aspects, but in a general sense, that's not the world that I live in when I'm using that tool. And I don't want you guys to think of it that way, right? It is powerful in the respect of in the wrong hands and used improperly can be a negative thing, right? That's the most important part. So education is the key, okay? And it's a key to that dog's livelihood. Now, why are we going to advocate a tool like that? Because it could save the dog's life. You have a squirrel come running by a cat and you're trying to get that dog to stop. If you've done the right thing, you have now a tool that can reach out and touch that animal. It's a safety net, right, in a nutshell, right? I'll put the collar on Buddy and not be doing a dang thing, but I let him wear it all the time so I have it if I need it, right? And I can go out in public and I can let the dog have the freedom to run the park or whatever. I see another dog cross the park, Buddy with me, boom, he will book it right back to me because he knows. He's been trained. He's been conditioned to respond to that signal in the right way. And now I have control with him and I have things I can do with him and give him a life that I never could have been able to do without a tool like this, right? That's the key. But education overall is the key of everything, right? You understanding it to a point where you understand dog psychology, how a dog is conditioned, all that stuff should be your growth before you ever get that tool, okay? My personal opinion. Because they're not going to stop the world. They're going to keep doing it. I run into people all the time. I got a lady come up to me the other day that has a Rottweiler, and she wanted to get into e-collar. She doesn't have a friggin' clue. So I tried to educate her the best I could and tried to get her to come with me for services. Did she do it? No. She probably went out and bought a friggin' e-collar. What an idiot, right? Because with a Rottweiler with an aggression problem, you're going to tap that button, you're going to make it worse. You're not going to make it better, especially if you don't understand how that dog gets conditioned, layering it in properly and getting the dog to understand it and using it in the right way, right? Towards the application of what you're trying to do with it, right? It's not punishment that's going to solve a problem like that, right? It's conditioning within patterns and routines and conditioning that's going to make the difference, right? And understanding thresholds. And there's a world of knowledge that you need to understand, and when you're trying to apply it for a specific reason, right? That's why you go to a professional, okay? That's why you come to somebody like me, so I can help you, I can guide you, I can teach you. If you need help, you want to get into e-collar, come to me. But you're probably going to have me tell you I don't want to do e-collar until we get you educated and get your dog some training behind it, that we can layer in the collar in the right way and get your knowledge to be where it's a worthwhile tool and turn it into a three-dimensional tool and not one-dimensional, right? All right, I'll let you guys go. Mark Ferrasci, ProTech Dog Training. And for all you haters that are coming at me, be careful, I'll block you. Like my buddy Justin, I'll block you. I'll talk to you later. Have a good day, guys.